Hello everyone, and welcome to this edition of Talk. I'm Kat Horiadis, and today I'm joined by martial artist Jill Santacroce. How are you today, Jill?
I'm doing well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. So let's get to it. To start out, how did you first become involved in martial arts, and can you explain the two different styles that you do?
Yeah, so I'll start by explaining the styles. So I do Universal Kempo and I do Tang Soo-do. Tang Soo-do is a Korean art, and then Universal Kempo has a mixture of Chinese and Japanese. So I practice basically three different elements in the styles that I do. And then how I got involved, I actually was doing dance and violin. This is back when I was 9 years old. And I was pretty involved with those, but one day I passed a karate studio and I told my parents, I want to do that. And they kind of chuckled a little bit and they were like, that's not really are you sure? That doesn't really seem like you. And I'm like, yeah, I want to give it a shot. Why not? And I'm the type that when I want to do something, I go for it, and no one really gets in my way. So I gave it a shot and gradually became more involved, and I'm still doing it today. And unfortunately I dropped the violin and the dance, but I stuck with that one thing.
So
I found my one passion, I guess.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. What was it like starting something so competitive at such a young age?
It was different. I mean, I guess it was a lifestyle choice that I made, but at 9 years old, I couldn't really hang out with all of my friends like the normal 9-year-old maybe. So I think it was mandatory. The studio had a thing that you had to go to 2 classes a week or something, and I wanted to go every day, and my parents probably hated me for it, but they drove me every day.
It's pretty awesome though that you were so committed at such a young age.
Yeah, I guess I just liked it, and there's a group of girls my age, so we all clicked, and so
yeah.
we were kind of hanging out while training too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Can you talk about some of the competitions you've been a part of?
Yeah, so my first competition, I think I waited a year and tried to grasp some concepts. So I think I started competing when I was 10. And the tournaments, some tournaments have self-defense divisions. There's sparring, which is kind of a sport fighting type thing. So you wouldn't spar in the street or anything, but it's the sport aspect. And there's forms and weapons, and especially when I was 10, I would compete mainly in forms and weapons. You would compete in those, and then if you got first place, you'd go on to the grand division. When you go to compete, you go by your age and your belt rank. So you compete against the people in your age and your belt rank. And then if you get first, you get to go for grand. So for grand, that's everyone in your belt rank. So I could be going against an older kid, a younger kid. Some tournaments, not all, have super grand. So then all the people that win grand go up for the one big thing.
Wow. That's pretty.
It's a whole
pretty
day
wild.
event. You're not out in an hour or two.
No, definitely not. But that sounds really fun. How do you train for these competitions, and what is a typical week like for you?
Yeah, so even today, when I know I have a competition coming up, I'll train. Well, I always try to have the same work ethic in the sense that even when a tournament's not coming up, I still train a tournament's coming up, because some people all of a sudden put in the effort when a tournament's coming up, and it's why do that to yourself? If you're used to practicing the same type of way all the time, then you don't
right,
really
you should be consistently practicing.
At least that's the way I think.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm always practicing a tournament's coming up. Outside of practice, I train on my own. So you just always have to put in the work ethic and not always train a tournament's coming up.
Would you say that you train every day, or?
On my own, I train every day, but now I train Tuesdays, Fridays, Saturdays. I have a private lesson that I'm taught, and then Sundays I teach a private. So.
Wow. Okay.
And then not all the time, but some Wednesdays I meet with someone else and get trained. So it really depends on my work schedule, but normally it's Tuesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays.
So you're exposed to it
at
over half of the week,
right,
essentially.
and then I'm still practicing on my own, so it's a full-time commitment.
So you said that you teach martial arts. What's it like teaching others and having them learn from you?
I actually like it. So I don't really teach a regular class. I teach privates, which I like a lot more because it gives me a chance to really connect with each individual and like find what their strengths and weaknesses are, and I can like kind of cater the lesson to that.
So it's one-on-one.
Right. So I'm
Okay.
not worried about like, oh, did everyone get what they were supposed to get in? Like I just focus on that one person. Usually it's like an hour that I teach them. So like that one-on-one training for an hour. And I really like it because it's one thing to learn something, but then to teach it, you have to break it down in a way that like they can understand it. Like right now, I teach this kid named Noah, and he's a freshman in high school. So like he's kind of older that like I can go like a little more difficult with him, but definitely through training him, I become a better martial artist because I have to break
Right.
things down in a way that he'll understand.
So you become more of an expert by teaching him more. You're able to like
Yeah,
explain
definitely.
it, and then you're like
then it helps
solidifying
me in
it.
the long run.
Right,
Definitely.
exactly. So you've recently reached master status. Is that right?
Yeah.
What does that accomplishment mean to you?
It means a lot, especially with like like I started at 9 and I never really like envisioned ever even getting a black belt. And a lot of people, like all of my friends that I said like they were my age when I was 9, they all dropped out after they got their black belts, which that's fine. Like
Right.
people want scholarships or whatever they want, but something in me, I was just like, you know what, I know I don't really have a chance to get scholarships with martial arts, but I still want to do it.
Yeah.
So I like never really had anyone my age to train with at that point, like once we all got our black belts. And it's really just the beginning. I mean, you're learning a lot of fundamentals when you're an underbelt, but like the real training starts when you first become a black belt.
Because you need all that like basic
Yeah.
knowledge in order to like reach a new level,
Yeah.
essentially.
And not only do you have to know like your moves, but it's like this mindset. Like it was a test that like, it was a hard test, to be honest. It was really hard. And they kind of went over everything, which is so hard to do when, like, you've been training for, like, how many years?
Right.
And even, like, I haven't been training that long. Like, you hear some people, they're like, I've been training for, like, 40 years. I'm like, what?
What? To clarify,
Yeah.
is master status like
It's
a
fourth
black?
dan. So, like, you get black belt, and there's
Yes.
10, like, you can get up to 10th dan, which hardly anyone does
Yeah.
because it takes so long. But, so in that style, I'm a 4th dan in, Universal Kempo, and in Tung Sudo, I'm a 2nd dan. So it's like, it's a lot. But
So it's like 2 levels
Yeah.
for Tung Sudo, 2 levels above black belt,
yeah,
essentially.
and then for the Universal, it's like 4.
4,
above.
yeah.
So now my training gets even harder.
Yeah,
And
but
now it's
it
like
sounds
another
exciting.
beginning.
I
Yeah.
know.
But that's what I like. It's always like a cycle.
Yeah.
You never stop learning, which I think
Right.
that's why I kind of stick.
It feels
I
like
stuck
it seems it never gets old, obviously, since you're
Right.
still so like heavily involved
Yeah,
with it. That's
definitely.
awesome. And we know that you work with Blue Phoenix Entertainment. How did you first become involved with them?
Yeah, so just a short backstory. My original master, he died in 2012 from cancer, and proper etiquette is to try to say with like your lineage or whatever. So his master, which was like originally my grandmaster, became my master. So he was kind of like took me under his wing. His name is Master Chung, and he is friends with Master Chang. So someone randomly named Kalani Davis reached out to Master Chang and said like, hey, I'm filming like this independent film in the Philly area. Do you know any girl with like blonde hair that can do this role? And he's like, I have someone in mind.
Yeah.
So like he like reached out to me, and the people associated with that project, it was like Kalani Davis, one of the actors, his name was Robert Samuels. He, during his younger days, was actually a part of the Hong Kong Stunt Association. So that was really cool to meet him. He's met like Jackie Chan and like stuff like that. So that was really cool. And then, so Kalani Davis, Robert Samuels, there's a Robert Jefferson. He did a lot of like the cinematography, and just, so all of them kind of like came together with this Master Chang, and they kind of like put a little like stunt group together, and it was really cool. And so in a weird way, I like having that like project kind of formed the stunt group in a weird way.
Yeah. And what projects have you done with them?
So like the project that I did, which kind of seems weird for me to play these roles, but
No.
in that film, it was like an independent film. It had the Philadelphia International House in Philly, like, was the premiere. It was really cool. I played a assassin,
which seems to be very similar. There seems to be parallels between you and that role.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
I guess so. And then I did like a few shorts here and there, where a lot of the time, believe it or not, I am a thug. Which
you have that look. I think.
Clearly I have that look, but I like playing like those types of roles. I kind of like being the bad guy, to be honest. And then I did a print project where there's like a martial arts self-defense book, and I was like inside the book and the cover, and that's sold at like martial arts stores, and like to this day I still like see it sometimes, and I'm like, ooh,
that's me. What would you say is like the most challenging aspect of working with like people like that in that kind of setting?
I guess like definitely time management, I guess, because not only was I like going to school, like I graduated in May, but like I was going to school like full time, doing internships, still training at like the level that I did, and then
an intense experience
and
level.
then stunt training on Sundays. It was like,
you're right.
I feel like the amount of miles I put on my car, like my dad hates me for it. He like complains about it all the time, but so I would definitely say that, like the time management, and then still trying to have a social life.
Right.
And so
it's like a balance act.
Oh, it was a hard balancing act.
I feel like you did master it though.
I don't know. Maybe I put
like
on a
barely.
good poker face. There are times.
Well, what would you think is the most rewarding aspect of it?
I think definitely seeing the finished products, like seeing projects get done and being able to just like look at what you did and like, good, like I put my time into something that I actually got to see. So definitely that, and the connections I've made, it's networking. So I just always, I have to like what I'm doing or else I'm not going to do it. So
Right, yeah.
Definitely.
And have you ever considered going pro?
I actually don't think I would ever want to go like pro for that stuff, just because I feel like to get jobs, like the guy was looking for a blonde hair person. Well, if I had brown hair, I would have never got that role, or they wouldn't think, at least with an independent film, maybe to dye my hair or something. So I don't know if I would, just because I don't know how steady the work is.
Yeah.
But I definitely think like martial arts wise, I would love to become like elite. Like that would be pretty cool. It's like based off of like talent or like your work ethic, like the entertainment side. It's like, do you have that look that they're looking for?
Right,
so it's like,
right.
I don't know.
And do you have any like upcoming projects or plans for additional competitions or anything?
Yeah, so like projects are always coming up here and there, but I know my next big competition, like tournaments, they're not all like children's tournaments anymore. Now, once you turn 18, like you become the adult division. So tournaments become a little less, but the stakes are more high. So like, so definitely my next big tournament is in January in Atlantic City. So
nice.
it will be here before I know it.
Oh no, definitely.
Yeah,
but that's really exciting. That's a cool venue, and it seems exciting. You have a lot of time to like prepare. And
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. And how do you think being involved with martial arts has like affected you?
I think going back to like the work ethic, I think that like transcends to my regular life. Like I'm willing to put in extra work that maybe other people may not, just because it's like the way I've become. It kind of like trained me just for like the workforce, like put the time in and you'll get the result you want type of thing.
Right.
So definitely, I would have to say that. And then definitely like respect and self-control, because it's still like a martial art. So you definitely learn the self-control thing right from the beginning.
Yeah. And do you have like any advice to aspiring martial artists out there?
Definitely, at least to the young women, it's definitely a male-dominated sport, so stay with it. But it can be hard sometimes, especially when all of your friends might not be with you. But definitely find light in the situation. And black belt's just the beginning, because I think a lot of people have that mindset, like, oh, I have the certificate, like I'm a black belt. It's like graduation. No,
there's like more to
there's
come.
Still the beginning,
right.
So definitely to stick with it.
So you've reached master status.
Yes.
What's next for you?
I guess grandmaster status. Like, I really don't want to stop. I really see myself doing this for the long run. I don't want to like stop once I'm like in the workforce like every day of my life. Like, I still always want to have time for it.
How long would it take you to reach grandmaster status?
I don't even. I would probably be in like maybe late 30s, early 40s.
Wow.
So
and
I
you
would
had to start when you were 9 to reach that.
To even just get to like the grandmaster status. So that's not even like making it to 10th dan. So that's why they say it's really like a lifetime art. So definitely grandmaster status, and I'll see like where life takes me from there. But I always want to have time for it. So.
Well, that's awesome. It seems like you have a lot ahead of you. But
Thank you.
I mean, that's great. I'm really glad that you're doing well with it.
Thank you.
Well, so thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us today. Well, that does it for this episode of Talk. For Jill Santacroce, I'm Kat Horiatis, and we'll see you guys soon.